Hey, good morning. Today is Sunday. It is the 27th day of Kislev. It is the third day of Hanukkah. Third day of Hanukkah is also not very known, but it is a day, as the Rebbe writes in the Yom Yom, that the Alter Rebbe was released from prison the second time. And the second time, although the prison was not as harsh as difficult, but the accusations was very harsh. While the first time there was more personal matters, the second time it was connected with the teachings of Hasidus and so on. So on the third day of Hanukkah, the Alter Rebbe came out from prison the second time. So it's a simcha within a simcha. Hanukkah and the Alter Rebbe's release. So today we begin the Alter Rebbe's Tanya, chapter 4. Now, you have to keep in mind, take the whole picture, the map of what the Tanya, what the Alter Rebbe is teaching us. The Alter Rebbe began in the first two chapters to explain that every person, every Jew has two souls. There's the godly soul. He began with the animal soul and the godly soul. Now, he's going to explain the makeup of the souls. Once we understand the makeup of the souls, that there is what the godly soul is composed of, and what the animal soul, and later on we see that there is the constant struggle between these two souls in each and every person. So he began in chapter 2. He explained what is the godly soul, that is really a piece of Hashem in each and every one of us. Chelek Elokam Imal Mamash. And in chapter 3, what we finished yesterday, the Alter Rebbe began to explain the 10 powers of the soul. He begins with the godly soul. In chapters 3, 4, and 5, he's going to explain the godly soul. So he started with the 10 powers of the godly soul, which is divided. You have the intellectual powers and you have the emotional powers. The intellect, he explained what is the intellect. He has the wisdom, the understanding, and the knowledge. The knowledge is the connecting to what you understand, feeling it, which creates emotions, creates love, fear. When you understand something and you connect to it, it brings you to love something or to fear something and so on, and the different 7 types of emotions. In chapter 4, that we start today, the Alter Rebbe is explaining that there is something else to the soul. There's also garments of the soul. What does it mean, garments of the soul? Garment is just like a garment. A garment, you can put on a garment, you can take it off a garment. The garment is not who you are. When you go in the street with a suit, it's not the suit that he's going. We know that inside the suit is something else. It's just a garment. And the garment you can take off and you can put it on. And you can take off and you can take somebody else's garment also and put on somebody else's garment. Now, what are the garments of the soul? We're talking about 3 garments: thoughts, speech, and action. Those are 3 garments. Unlike what we explained yesterday, the emotions and the intellect, which is part of you cannot separate from them. Thoughts, speech, and action is not who you are. It is the way the soul expresses itself. But you can do something and you can decide not to do it. You can speak something and then you can decide not to speak it. Same thing is with thoughts. Although you cannot stop thinking, you always think, but you have a choice of what to think. So you wear it and you take it off. Not only that, you can even think something which is not you. For example, you can think in your thought that 2 plus 2 equals 5. You can say it, but you cannot understand it. Understanding. You cannot feel something which is not you. Where you can think something, somebody else's thoughts. You can think the same thoughts, even though you don't agree with that. And the same thing is with speech. And the same thing is with action. You can do something which you do not agree with. So those are the garments of the soul. And the Alter Rebbe is going to explain what are the garments of the godly soul, because now in these chapters he is focusing on the godly soul. The garments of the godly soul are the speaking, doing, and thinking in the words of Hashem, in the mitzvahs, godly things. So let's let's look inside in the beginning of chapter 4 of Tanya. Says the Alter Rebbe, "V'oid yesh lekol nefesh elikis shloisha levushim." In addition to what we said, they have the 10 powers, the 10 faculties, the intellectual and the emotional ones. Every divine soul, every nefesh elokit also possesses 3 garments. What are the 3 garments? She'im machshava, dibur, u'maaseh shel taryag mitzvos haTorah. Those are the thoughts, the speech, and action of the 613 commandments of the Torah. Shekesher ha'adam mekayem b'maaseh kol mitzvos maasiyos. Because when a person fulfills with action all of the mitzvahs, all of the commandments that require physical action, and he focuses, he stresses about all of the commandments, because in order to have a connecting the soul, to have fully connected with Hashem, he has to fulfill all of the mitzvahs, all of the commandments. And in speech, you occupy yourself with explaining and understanding all of the mitzvahs and the laws, the commandments. ובמחשבה ומשיג כל מה שאפשר לו להשיג בפשט, רמז, דרוש, סוד, התורה. Is what's called the Pardes HaTorah. The Pardes is the garden of the Torah. The Pardes makes up the word Pei, Reish, Daled, Samach. Pei is Pshat. Pshat means there is the simple understanding, the Pshat, the plain sense. Then you have the Remez, as different level of understanding, which intimation, sometimes you have Remazim, hints, certain hints in the Torah. Then you have Drush, homiletical expositions of the Torah, like it says in the Medrash. Then you have Soy, the secrets, the esoteric part of the Torah. You have the 4 levels in the understanding in the Torah. So when you understand in your thoughts, you understand whatever you can grasp in the Torah with every part of the Torah. Then the 613 organs of your soul are clothed in the 613 commandments of the Torah. Now we're talking about organs of the soul. We're not talking about the physical organs of the body. Because this, just like the body has 613 organs, the soul also has different expression, different ways, which correspond to the organs of the body. That's why sometimes the Rebbe, when people would have issues physically, with a physical health, the Rebbe would direct them to connect to certain mitzvahs because every mitzvah is connected to a certain organ, and the same thing is in the soul. There's part of the soul that is connected with a certain organ, with a certain mitzvah. Ubi Pratus, to go more details, it says the Alter Rebbe, Bechino is Chachma bin Edas sheben Afshay, Melubasha is Be'asogas Atayra. The levels, specifically speaking, the intellectual faculties, Chabad, Chachma bin Edas, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, they are clothed in the comprehension of the Torah. That you understand, comprehend in the four parts of the Torah. As much as a person is able and capable of understanding, and also it is also depending on the source and the root of your soul. What does that mean? Some souls, their root of their soul is more connected with the simple understanding of the Torah. So although every person has to cover every part of the Torah, nevertheless, you can have a certain part of the Torah, the pshat, that this is, you feel at home, this is your home base. Or there's another soul can have a more connection. He connect more to the esoteric part of the Torah, to the mystical part of the Torah. So each person has a different, the soul is connected with a certain part of the Torah. And again, although we do need to fulfill all of the Torah and study every part of the Torah. The midos and the emotions, the midos, shein yira ve'ahava ve'anfeim. What are the midas? What are the emotions? They're the awe, the fear of Hashem, and the love. And also there are offshoots. There is other emotions that is offshoots from these two, the fear and love. And the ramifications. Those emotions, they are enclosed into by fulfilling the mitzvahs with action and with speech. And meaning, this is the study of the Torah, which is equivalent to all of the commandments. And he explains, why are the emotions the source? Why are they connected with the mitzvahs? So he says like this. Because the love is the root of a Jew's observance of all the 248 positive commandments. And they are issued forth from the love. Ubilada ein lam kilim amiti. And without it, without the love, they have no true substance. Meaning, when you do a mitzvah, when you do a good deed, and you do it without love, it does not fulfill completely. It doesn't have the real fulfillment of the mitzvah. And to understand it, it doesn't mean that you're not fulfilling the mitzvah of tefillin if you put on tefillin and you don't feel the love of it. Of course, the mitzvah is a mitzvah. But nevertheless, to have a real existence, a real meaning, it's like when you do something without feeling, you're giving a gift to someone and you don't really like to give the person the gift. It's not the same thing. You don't connect to the person that way. When you have, when you do a mitzvah out of love to Hashem, then the mitzvah is done in a whole different, more in a truer way. That's what Alter Rebbe says. Because he who fulfills them in truth is he who loves Hashem's name and who truly desires to cleave to him. And one cannot cleave to Hashem except through, one cannot truly cleave to Hashem except to truly fulfill the fulfillment of the 248 positive commandments. And these positive commandments is a shehem ramach ivorim de malka kaviyachol. These are the 248 organs of the king, as it were, so to speak. Obviously, Hashem doesn't have physical organs, but the way Hashem, God, manifested His light down into this world is through these 248 different levels, which is called organs, as explained elsewhere. So when a person feels the love to Hashem, then you want to connect to each and every one, each and every part of you, connect to each and every part of Hashem. And the fear is the root of the 365 negative commandments, the prohibitions. Why? Because what causes a person not to go against Hashem is when he is fearful. He doesn't want to be disconnected from Hashem. Because he fears to rebel against the Supreme King of Kings, the Holy One, blessed be He. So this is a lower level of fear. Or there is also a higher, deeper level of fear. That is ashamed before God's greatness. So that he will not rebel against the all-seeing eyes. Not to do any evil in his eyes. What is the difference between the two levels of fear? The first level of fear is basically focuses on yourself. I am afraid because of the consequences, what it will do to me if I disobey. So I'm afraid to disobey. The deeper level of fear is focusing on Hashem. Now, when you're in the presence of the greatness of Hashem, the awesomeness of God, then you have the deep, awesome fear of the awe of Hashem. And therefore you cannot have all these abominations, namely any abominations, things hated by Hashem, which are the klipes and sitra aches, the shells on the other side. Asher yenikosam me'odom atachton ve'achizosam boy ubeshasam mitzvos lo yisaseh. It says all of the negative things, the evil things, they nurture. Where do they get their nurture from? They get their nurture from the person, from the man below. Meaning that everything in the world needs to have something in order to sustain. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. So just like the holiness exists from Hashem, so too the evil also exists from Hashem. However, they nourished through the acts of person. When a person acts in a way which negates God's will, that itself gives nourishment to the evil powers, and they have like the parasites who suck and nourish from the not good deeds of a person. And their hold in him, so that they be able to derive the nurture and life through him, through his violations of the 365 prohibitive commandments. This is why when a person has the awe of Hashem and he realizes what it does, God forbid, if when he violates a mitzvah, he allows things which Hashem hates and the things that go against Hashem, and you give it the nourishment. That's why the yira, the fear, is the awe that makes a person stop from violating the prohibitions of the Torah. So this is the end of this chapter, of this lesson. We'll continue tomorrow. Tomorrow the Alter Rebbe is going to explain how there is much deeper understanding of the garments than what we know until now. And thank you for joining. Have a happy Hanukkah. Don't forget to light the candles tonight, the fourth candle. And if you didn't have a chance to register, we still have a few tickets for today's concert, which begins at 4 p.m., the driving concert. All the best. Any questions? Now's the time.